All right, let's rock and roll. Awesome, guys. Well, again, thank you guys so much for joining, guys. Welcome to FCA Lacrosse presenting the Wisdom Wednesday. All right, this is the first of 4 installments of Wisdom Wednesday, where each week we're going to aim to bring you guys a prominent name in the lacrosse world, get an opportunity to hear parts of their story, ask them some questions, even have them break down some film and skills to help you guys develop as better lacrosse players. All right, and at the end, we're going to give you guys an opportunity to ask our guests questions of your own. So you guys can submit those questions in the chat column at the bottom, all right? And as soon as we get those going, we will have those asked at the end, all right? For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kyle Savick. I am the men's ministry coordinator for FCA Lacrosse, all right? Most of you know who I am, but for those new faces, I love seeing it, and hopefully you guys are going to have a fun time tonight listening and hearing to our guest, all right? So without further ado, our guest should need no introduction, but we have on our call tonight Coward Hall, an FCA alum, MIAA champion, high school All-American, currently playing at Syracuse University, where he enters the 2021 season as a captain, 2-time All-American, and 2019 All-ACC selection. A lot of accolades there, folks. We introduced Brendan Curry. Brendan, how are we doing this evening, man?
I'm good. I actually just got up to school, so kind of fitting back in again.
Nice. Well, we appreciate you being on the call tonight. I'm sure a ton of our players are pumped to hear what you got to say. How has things been going for you? Just as you said, you rolled right into school. All right, season's about to start. First thought that pops in your head right now, go. Don't think about
it. Crazy times.
Yeah.
Definitely different than coming to school last year. Some guys aren't even here yet, so we'd usually be practicing, but I just actually had to join a gym because we're not allowed in the athletic facility. So I just came back from there, but definitely just crazy times, I would say.
There you go. Getting that New Year's resolution in quick. I love it. All right. But without further ado, we'll roll into these questions. Brendan, you were part of the first initial FCA Maryland Lacrosse Club, all right, which is an incredible feat, all the way back in 2012, all right? So what was it like playing for FCA Maryland Club program as an 11-year-old, starting there and then going all the way up to college? How did that feel? Walk us through that.
Yeah, so I played Green Turtle first. I started at Green Turtle, and then my whole team actually went with Coach Kelly and my dad, who coached together, and we pretty much took our whole team from Green Turtle and went to FCA, which caused some drama in Baltimore. But, once we started at FCA, it was, no looking back for anyone really. I just had such a good experience with my huddle leaders. I had Evan Connell, Patrick Kelly, Gavin Llewellyn, just to name a couple that just stand out. But, every year just, the level of fun they brought to practice and the huddles. And obviously looking up to those guys, as you guys definitely look up to your huddle leaders. It was just good. And looking back, I would say that was pretty big for me. Just having like role models like that, teaching me about Jesus and also lacrosse too.
Definitely. I mean, I feel like being a player in FCA, you have that unique opportunity to not only be coached by some of the top names in lacrosse, but also you have your character building development. Like you're talking about, you have your huddle leaders. And I think, you've been in this spot where you've had huddle leaders and you've been a huddle leader. How does that feel to kind of have that role reversal play?
Yeah, it was fun. I started, I think, maybe my junior or senior year of high school, being a huddle leader. Definitely not as fun as playing when you were younger with huddle leaders, but definitely cool to see the other side and be able to do what the huddle leaders did for me and put that back into FCA.
Absolutely. So for all you guys watching, you've been coached by all these huddle leaders. It's a unique opportunity to be able to go through the program and eventually become a huddle leader. So we highly recommend it. All right. But speaking on some of those big events you've played in, I mean, you've been part of some special FCA lacrosse experiences, Vail, Lake Placid, even camp at some points. What was, if you look back to all those, what would you say, if you could pinpoint your favorite experience of some of those trips, and what are some of those best memories that you learned from those trips?
I would probably say, well, my first time to Vail was awesome. I don't really even remember the lacrosse that much, but it was more kind of just meeting like totally new group of guys, because those teams are like national teams. So guys would come from all over the country. And I'm still friends with kids who I met on that trip. Whitewater rafting and going mountain biking and stuff. But definitely Lake Placid. I think I was a senior in high school, and Drew Wardlow was the head coach, and we ended up winning Lake Placid. So that was my first time in Lake Placid too. So that was probably the one that shines the most.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak from experience. Being out there and those elements. Lacrosse is one thing, but for me, it was just being in awe of where you're at, where you're standing, and you stand on the field, whether in your Lake Placid or Vail. You just look around, you see mountains are just this beautiful area to play in. I think it's just a unique experience. I totally connect with you on that one.
Yeah, definitely.
Going back to high school, your senior season at Calvert Hall, very successful senior season at Calvert Hall as a captain, winning the MIAA championship. Talk to us about what that experience was like as a senior in Maryland in the lacrosse hub.
Yeah. I mean, growing up with the Kellys and everything, I always wanted to go to Calvert Hall, and, seeing them win in 2012 was awesome. And Patrick was my huddle leader at that time. So seeing him win was great. And then kind of freshman year, junior year, sophomore year, we'd lose in the first round of the playoffs. So that was kind of always on our back going into that next season. And then, we had the best coaching staff in the entire country with Coach Kelly and Coach Huntley and Coach Casemeyer and Coach Mulf. But that whole year was just, our team was so close, and seniors all the way down to freshmen. One of my best friends, Daniel Kelly, was a freshman. I think he might be on this Zoom, but we just had a very special culture to that team, and everyone was super close, which I think goes a lot farther on the field when your locker rooms clicks and translate to the field. But that was definitely, I'll never forget that, and that was still probably the coolest game I ever played in, was winning that game at Hopkins as a senior, especially beating McDonough, who was so good too, and we had lost to them earlier that year. So it was just almost like a picture perfect story ending to my senior year.
Man, it sounds like an incredible experience. That has got to be so cool, taking that from high school. So you put yourself in that senior year, put yourself in your shoes. You've got that happen. You've had that amazing experience. And now freshman year, you're moving on to Syracuse. Right now, preseason, first team All-American. All right. What has that transition been like from high school to college, and where are you seeing that now?
Yeah, it definitely went fast. That summer I was definitely nervous going up to Syracuse, which is, such a big school, such a big prominent lacrosse program. And when I got there, I was definitely still nervous, but then, my grade, I got really lucky and got a really, friend group pretty early. We'd be talking about practice and kind of just letting stuff go. But the transition lacrosse wise, playing in the MI and playing for FCA, you're practicing against the best kids in Maryland, and then you go to tournaments and you're again playing against the best kids in the area or even the country. So the competition in high school was just so good that we're all lucky that we play in a league and play in a state that just the transfer of talent. A lot of these kids on the FCA will go to really good schools too. So I was always playing against them, which I think really helped. And a lot of kids from New York, and I just met a bunch of different kids, which is really cool too, as part of that transition. Some of my best friends are from Texas, California, Florida, Oregon. So just meeting a bunch of new kids, that was a really cool part of the whole transition, especially coming from Maryland, where everyone knows each other for however many years.
No, that's awesome. No, I totally get that, of just being grateful for that opportunity, being in that unique opportunity that you're in, playing for FCA, being in Maryland, playing for Calvert Hall. It definitely adds a certain special quality that not a lot of players get. So it's awesome to hear that you're just grateful for that. But again, speaking about players that you got to know, another guy who played for FCA now on Syracuse, Tucker Dordovic. All right, good friend of yours. We all got to ask the question, who has got the better shake skills, you or Tucker? All right, who's going to score more goals this season?
I'd probably give Tucker.
Okay.
Definitely, he's got better shake than me. He's got that roll back that he likes to do. I try and do it, but he's definitely got it patted down. And then I don't know. I hope we just score both a lot. I don't know who
Good answer.
will have more, but I hope we have the same amount, and hope that amount is a lot.
Love it. Love it.
I know you have more speed and you're a better shooter. That's Coach Kelly right there. So I'm just taking you over fucking Dorkovic, whatever.
Love the plug. Love it. Now,
Thanks,
I know
Coach
that
Kelly.
most guys have probably seen your X video. And guys, if you haven't seen that X video, I encourage you to check it out. I believe it's got over 11,000 views on it. It just kind of goes into detail of Brendan's story and just how he's got from where he started to where he's at now. But one of the cool things he mentioned is, and then I know you have a very close relationship with your dad, who also played lacrosse at Syracuse. And I think that's amazing. I have a great relationship with my father as well, so I totally know where you're coming from. But talk to us about your dad's impact on your life and the relationship, the father-son relationship you have, playing at Syracuse with all of that.
Yeah. My dad was just huge for me, growing up. He wasn't a dad that was necessarily pushing me to always, be in the backyard, shoot, whatever. He kind of let it up to me, but he kind of instilled that love in lacrosse. And, my love for Syracuse. I think there's a picture of me wearing my dad's jersey, and I was 3 years old out in the backyard, playing with his old lacrosse stick. So there was that love for Syracuse that still hasn't gone away, for either of us, which is cool that I get to wear his number, that he wore at Syracuse too. So growing up, he was my coach. We would obviously go at it, pretty good, and both very competitive people. But I think that pushed me, and, I always wanted to, whenever I score still, I'll always kind of look up, see if my dad's watching, see what he said. And I still respect his opinion, on my game a lot. I kind of have to ask for it now just because I'm older, and, he won't just call me and tell me what to do, but he's obviously knows what he's talking about. But yeah, having him as a coach growing up, and then, adding Coach Kelly on top of that, I think was a huge thing for me, knowing that my dad was, had my back and was going to put me in the best position he could to, get me to where I am now.
That's incredible. That's awesome. The big question, though, 10, 20, 30 years down the line, you have a son. Does that third Curry have to play at Syracuse?
I'm going to leave that up to him, but, it'd be cool just to see that happen. Obviously, I'll probably still be a pretty diehard Syracuse fan by then, but, hopefully there's a lot more programs out there in 30 years. So I don't know. We'll see. Would be cool, but.
Definitely. Last thing I want to ask you, and you led through it talking about your high school years, a big thing you mentioned was culture. And a big thing that FCA relies on is culture, especially with culture within Scripture. And in Scripture, in Proverbs 27:17, it says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." And I think that's a huge part of culture. I want to ask you, that mentality of just is certainly crucial, especially being a leader, developing a strong relationship with your teammates. Talk to us about how you've been able to incorporate that iron sharpens iron mentality in your play.
Yeah, so I think that mentality and the whole culture started, back in high school. I remember something that stands out to me, and I always think about it every year, is Coach Kelly hosts a senior dinner where you kind of pick a one word for the year. In that senior dinner, the senior class, instead of just having one or two captains, which, every team still does have, it's that senior class that really can bring everyone together. And having that one word and having, 12 collective words, where people are leading differently. Like someone might be more vocal and someone's a weight room guy, or someone, is the scout team captain. You need kind of all those people. And I learned that in high school through Calvert Hall, and Coach Kelly always harped on that. And then I tried to take that, and now being a senior at Syracuse, where, everyone has a role, especially as a senior. I remember my freshman year, the seniors were amazing. I'm still super close with them, and it's more off the field for culture for me. Doing Bible study or going out to dinner with guys who usually wouldn't go out to dinner with, and especially in the locker room. We spend a lot of time in the locker room, on the couch playing Xbox. So I think just the more time you're with each other, and again, going back to the iron sharpens iron, if you're with each other more, people see what you're doing off the field, and, the better example you can set off the field starts translating, then you start trusting your teammates more when you go on to practice, because you're closer with them, and you know that they're going to have your back, and you know that they're just trying to make you better and make the team better. So for me, I think it's definitely more off the field. Iron sharpens iron, and then, on the field is more fun, and it comes easier once you have a good culture off the field and in the locker room.
Absolutely. I mean, I agree. It's crucial developing that relationships off the field as much on the field. And culture and just sharpening each other is going to play a huge part in that. So that's awesome. I appreciate you sharing. Guys, we are going to head into the segment now where Brendan's actually going to take us through some film. All right. And I encourage you guys to take this as an opportunity to grow in your skills of lacrosse. It's pretty cool when you get a chance for someone to share, their knowledge of the game, and how they're going to do it. So Brendan, without further ado, feel free to share your screen and walk us through some film.
Sweet.
And in the meantime, guys, if you think of any questions or stuff you want to ask Brendan towards the end, feel free to throw them up in the chat.
All right, so this is our game against Hobart last year. We do a lot of high wing dodges, from in between the 30 and 20 yard line. This one was a little bit higher. I think it was coming right out of the box. And I just thought this was a good dodge opportunity just because there was so much space in between. Can you guys see my clicker?
Yeah.
In between this guy and the next slide guy. So, if I were to beat him right off the bat, this guy would slide, and then, someone would be wide open. So I like this just because there was so much space, but we'll play it here. So I'll go back and play it in slow-mo. So the dodge angle, we always harped on dodging, and this is from high school, dodging to these hash lines and, finishing towards the goal. And instead of dodging here and kind of going all the way out to there, a lot of guys will shoot sidearm, fading away. I think it's really important to beat your guy and then run right at this pipe. Shoot right overhand. You just have the most goal to shoot at. And, I shot this a little bit farther out than I usually do, but I was headed right towards these, that intersection on the 20 yard line and the hash mark, which I think is a great area to dodge toward and get your shot off. Let's go to the next one. So this is a cut, and the only reason I cut here was Steve Rafe is a really good feeder, and I knew when he was rolling back to his left, he was going to look to feed. But my guy was number 13 right here, and his head was just completely turned. And I'm not a huge off-ball player. I'd like to be better at it, but whenever you see the back of your guy's head like that, it's pretty obvious. And there was just a lane that he created right there. Steve, you got to know your teammates, and I know Steve's a really good lefty feeder, so it was kind of worked out perfectly. As you can see, let's see. Yeah, so there was just a lane that went right down there. This one, so Tucker skipped it to me from up top. And whenever someone feeds from X and skips it back up top, a lot of times their head is turning from looking at Tucker look at all these guys are now looking at me. So it definitely means that they were all looking at Tucker before. So when he skips this ball up to me, my guy has to run from around the crease where defenders are kind of taught to sit when the ball is behind. And he was kind of sprinting right at me because Tucker threw a really good skip pass, which catches defense off guard. Right when you catch it off of a skip pass, make a move. One dodge and just go. You're going to draw something. And again, there's a lot of space up to my left. You know, my right, Steve was right there, and this long pull is there. So I obviously dodged the other way, and then not a great shot. Definitely don't shoot lefty sidearm, but this one luckily went for me. Let's see. This one, right before I make this dodge, I like to get my guy. So see how the goal, this pipe, if you were to extend a line through this pipe and this one, I would like to get my guy in between those two pipes so that he can't just run straight, right? A lot of times guys will make their dodge here and run around. Well, he has a short, he can just go right there. Instead, now he has to drop step and run around this pipe, and then I can make my dodge straight to the goal. Instead of having to run around, it's called straight line dodging. So you almost just want to get yourself in a space where you take one step and run straight up field instead of kind of arcing, right? And now my defender has to arc to try and get in front of me again. So we'll run this one. So you can see my guy has to run in a circle around me, and all I had to do was just run a straight line right up the field. So the closer you can get to the crease without having to run around the crease is the better. Get to a point where you can kind of just run straight up the field. All right, let me go to. This is the Hopkins game from last year. And this is kind of the same thing. I don't know who this is behind, but someone's dodging from X and hopefully going to skip it up to me. It's the same thing. This is my defender, and look, all their heads are facing this way. So when you catch that skip pass, just go right back at them. Try and go towards the goal to that 20-yard line and hash. So let's see if I – so yeah, my defender sprints out at me and then dodged right away, one move. Just try and get as close to that hash as you can, and try and fire it sidearm or overhand, not sidearm. Let's see here. This is our game against Army. So this was kind of towards the end of the game. It was actually, yeah, it was 8-7. And, you know, with the shot clock now, you kind of have to have a little bit of a sense of urgency. You can't kind of just toss the ball around and stall. So, you know, we needed a goal, and Jamie Trimboli, I think, had 5 or 6 goals at this point and was pretty gassed. And then I had a short stick to the wing, and we love to do almost like a 1-4-1. So you can kind of see this is almost a 1-4-1, but this backside guy had pinched in. I don't know if you guys ever run a 1-4-1. I'm sure you have at some point. But it's really good for wing dodges because you can get over the top and no one's going to be in your way, or you can go down here and no one will be in your way. So I chose to go over the top here. And it's when you're dodging across like a sweep like this, a lot of guys will run and end up out here and run in a straight line and shoot, you know, kind of falling away. It's important right when you're about to shoot, take a half step or step towards that back pipe, and then it's much easier to hit the cage when your whole body is looking at it versus you running to the sideline with your shoulders and chest face to the side. So that's a pointer that, I learned from Calvert Hall, is to run at the goal before shooting instead of fading away. So taking that one extra step, right, I'll try and pause it right when I took it. Right there. So everything's faced towards the goal instead of out there. So it's just that 1/2 second extra to just get back to the goal instead of running the sideline, which can make a big difference.
Brendan, I'm noticing on all these goals and all these dodges, you're just making one move and going. If I'm sitting here watching, why is one move and going better than maybe a few moves dancing around trying to juke them out? Why is that working for you?
Yeah, I would think that was kind of instilled in me growing up. Kind of the dancing back and forth. Kind of just lets the defender can just kind of sit back and just kind of watch you dance back and forth. If you make one move and go right off of his hip, it's almost impossible for any defender to react that fast. Even if you're not that quick, or you can use that straight line dodging to kind of just get right by him real fast. And it also, the defense can't react to it. So if you're dancing around, the defense knows you're going to dodge. But at this point, the defense, I could move this ball one more to here or there, and I haven't even dodged yet. So it's just important to be deceptive and not to dance around. It gives the defense extra time to set up. So one move and then just try and go right off your guy's hip as best as you can.
Awesome.
And then might have one more. Oh yeah. So this is from my sophomore year against Cornell. We were winning this. This is in the fourth quarter, but it's kind of the same thing. But I had a long pole on me, which is definitely harder from the wing. And this is a different offense. We were running an open set, so there's no crease guy. So everyone was on the side. So you kind of have to get underneath or push, which we called like a fade. So you kind of have to read and react to it. So I kind of was being pressured here. And when you're being pressured, you just kind of have to go to the goal because they'll just keep pressuring you. So I just kind of took this guy and got into him a little bit, which I don't usually do, but he kind of let me get in there. And then let me see, I don't really remember. Yeah, so I got to this point, and all he really had left was his stick. So, instead of, veering out, and I had a step on him, and I've kind of learned that, a defender, especially when he's a righty, kind of trying to like V hold you, he's not as strong. And it's kind of an awkward position for a defender to be in. So if you kind of can just press the head of his stick and kind of run through it, that a lot of times the defender will, he's not as fast in this position either. So definitely press this if you ever get a long pole and he's trying to V hold you, just run through the top of his stick. And then that was kind of just, another example of getting to the goal instead of fading out, which was a big thing for me. And, our coaches still harp on that, is getting to the goal instead of taking that 15-yard shot, getting to 12 and pulling it from there.
Terrific,
yeah,
man.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're going to hop into some questions that have been submitted by you guys. Brandon, thanks for sharing. Thanks for the insight, man. Love it. I'm sure these guys are learning a lot. It's always cool. I always think it's so cool when guys your age, guys in college, are just so open to be sharing just the insight that they learn on the lacrosse field. And hopefully you guys are able to take some of that and put it into your own skills. So some of the questions that we got in the chat for you. What is your number and what is your favorite dodge?
I'm number 16. I've been 16 pretty much my whole life. That was my dad's number at Syracuse. So it's kind of the family number. All my sisters wear it. And then favorite dodge, I would probably say a split dodge, from that spot right around the 30-yard line, just being able to either split to my left to go over the top for a sweep or down the righty alley. But yeah, probably a split dodge.
Nice. Who was your favorite lacrosse player growing up?
Steven Brooks was a Syracuse midfielder when I was like 10 or 11 when they won back-to-back championships. So he was probably my favorite player memorably that I can say growing up.
Awesome. This one asked, who is the best defender you've ever played against?
Best defender I've ever played against. I would probably say Jared Connors from UVA. He's a long pole. He's good. He's big and long. Definitely not a super fun matchup when you get him on you.
Nice. What is the best team you've ever played?
Best team I've ever played. I would say, probably Duke. Duke, my sophomore year, they were really, really good. They just had a bunch of, beasts at defense. They had a good goalie. So yeah, definitely Duke's defense my sophomore year was probably the best team we played.
Nice. Going on questions along the PLL. Do you want to play in the PLL? And if so, what team?
Yeah, it would definitely be cool. That's probably like 2 years away because I'm going to go back for another year at Syracuse. But I'm a big Barstool guy, so probably the Water Dogs.
Nice. Talking about all the years you played Lax, what year was the hardest year of Lax?
Hardest year, I'd probably say sophomore year of high school. I got a concussion, so I was kind of out, and then didn't play much. Yeah, definitely sophomore year. And we ended up losing in the first round of the playoffs. So kind of looking back, that was a tough year for me personally. And then obviously our team, not making it very far in the playoffs.
Nice. What is the most amount of goals you have scored in a college game?
Last year against Hobart, I had 5, which is definitely by far my most.
Now these questions get more personal. Your favorite post-game or post-practice meal?
Wow. Post-game, post-practice. So post-game, I'll go with this. We always have a tailgate with all the parents, and they get us Tully's chicken tenders with honey mustard, which is like a big upstate New York, Syracuse thing. So we get a big box of chicken tenders, and we'll eat some of them and then put some in the fridge for the next day. But that's definitely my, looking back, that my favorite post-game meal.
Oh, heck yeah. What drink to go with it?
I'm actually not very interesting with my drinks. I usually just drink water, or like a nice light blue Gatorade, Riptide Rush, purple. But yeah, probably if I had to say, probably Gatorade.
High quality H2O. Take notes, folks. If you couldn't play lacrosse, what sport would you be playing?
Oof. I played soccer the longest in high school. If I had to pick a sport, I would want to either be good at basketball or golf. Those are the two sports that I would like to play.
From your own team, by position, can you name your team's best defender, midfield, attackman, and goalie?
I don't know if I want to hurt anyone's feelings, but yeah, we just have honestly so many guys. I don't even know, where I would start, especially this year. We just have so many guys at every position.
Humble answer. We love it. We love it. All right. Looks like we're going to wrap it up here, guys. If you have any more questions, send them in real quick. We will ask you one more question, kind of just to accumulate it all. So, Brendan, as a college athlete, how do you balance social life, lacrosse, school, but more importantly, your faith as a part of your life now?
Yeah. So that was also a huge transition when I was going into college. I'd always had FCA, and Coach Kelly was always, praying for us and doing a lot of faith, in practice and after practice. So going to college, I was nervous that I would kind of lose that. And freshman and sophomore year were definitely hard, just because I was underclassman. I didn't know who to really ask or who to go to. And then last year, we actually started a team Bible study. And that last year was huge for me personally, being able to do that. And I know Ryan sent me a bunch of Bibles. So, a lot of the team I just left them out, and, a couple days later they were all gone, which was really cool, to know that guys, wanted to reach into that and see what it was all about. But I would say the biggest thing is finding like a group once you get into school, whether that be high school or college. Once you're close enough with your friends, just ask them where they're at and with their faith and stuff. And I'm lucky I have found a really good group of friends here, who all are, have a pretty big faith and came up through families just like me. So we kind of banded together and started a Bible study that meets once a week, which has been really big. Just to do it once a week, it's hard to go to church, with practice and everything. So meeting, with your best friends and teammates, kind of just going over a couple verses and just airing it out for an hour, watching some videos was great, and a nice little change up to practice, homework, friends and stuff. So I would say definitely just find your group and don't be shy to ask them some tough questions sometimes.
That's incredible, man. That's awesome. I appreciate you sharing. Guys, we've got a ton of questions piling in. We won't have time to ask them all, but if you're curious, send them to FCA Lacrosse Instagram. We'll get them to Brendan. We'll make sure that he's able to answer them all. Just an absolute popularity fest going on in the comments for Brendan. So with that being said, without further ado, again, just thank you so much, Brendan, for being on the Zoom call with us tonight and sharing wisdom, sharing your story, and just talking about faith. It's so cool to see somebody in college at a high level just being open about their faith, and just sharing the impact of that and what FCA has done. So we'd love that. And I would love if you would pray us out of this call. And again, just really appreciate you.
Yeah, sure. All right, dear God, I pray for everyone on this Zoom. I pray that their families are healthy and that, they're getting through all these crazy times, and that we're kind of adapting and rolling with the punches. It's important to be tough through these times. I pray for everyone's upcoming lacrosse season, that it goes well and that they have it and that they can make the most of whatever situation's put in front of them. That all these kids can find it somewhere, to keep this faith as they grow up, and to be able to ask the tough questions to their huddle leaders and their future friends that they have in college. If they're going into high school, that transition is good. And the whole recruiting thing, I know it gets crazy, but just help these kids find a path and know that everything happens for a reason. Yeah. Amen.
Amen. Awesome. Again, thank you so much, guys. You can follow along with Brendan, number 16 for Syracuse, as they head into the 2021 season, hopefully taking care of the ACC and more. All right. We appreciate you, Brendan. Thank you so much, guys. We're going to sign out. Thank you.
Yeah,
all
no
around.
problem, guys.
Love it. Feel free.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thanks.
See you guys.
See you guys.
Yeah.
We're going to sign out. Love it.